Hello everyone, I'm with Universe, you're back to the Geeky and Nerdy, and welcome back to a new episode. Now, in terms of probably if you may know me, I am a huge comic book and a huge manga reader, usually about 99% of the time. I will pick up a manga or a comic book that interests me that may be new, maybe past, or maybe present. This here is a massive failure upon anything. This was an attempt to have East meets West. This was an attempt to bring things into the other side. This was an attempt to get other people into manga as well as comic books. You failed. You failed miserably. You failed hard. You failed into the most parts that you could ever think that you failed. You just failed. I feel like stamping failed on this thing. But we're going to talk about each and every different story as they are in this. And also, in case you didn't know, and not even I know, they even had a Marvel zombie crossover. The heck? What the hecky heck, bro? So, in this, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You have 12 different stories that were created all for this, all written by different people. So the first one is called Marvel Mangaverse New Dawn, and this is essentially kind of like setting up what the Marvelverse would be in this universe, and it's not exactly very bad or anything. It starts off setting up, the characters of who will be who and whatnot in this universe, and instead of Tony Stark being the great, character, it is actually a woman that is Iron Man. So there's a lot of different changes, like Black Panther, and this especially you have Bruce Banner, that's a different character, Watch is a different character, and also they kind of make it sure that this is a manga because they have a cheap booby shot. Always in your manga, you have to have a cheap booby shot. Always, always, always. So they set up the Captain America and everything to be different in this, and Steve Rogers is the mirror and everything in this, and they kind of set up at first there was this huge war that's gonna go on between everybody basically in the Mangaverse and everything. They really set up what characters are there and everything like that. They turned Hulk into a fucking kaiju for some goddamn reason. But every story is basically supposed to be kind of companion to each other. So in the first one, they kind of set up everything that's supposed to happen in the next one, and definitely that does happen because the next story is Avengers Assemble, where the Avengers take on the Hulk. But instead of it being just basically the Avengers that we saw last time, this time it's almost like a different set of Avengers, essentially. Like, they're not the same Avengers. I don't know if that's a point or a purpose that they were trying to do, but it was. And then they, for some reason, trying to take down the whole entire thing, they turned Iron Man into basically Voltron or Mazinga. Because they turned the Ultimate Iron Man into the ultimate, basically, war machine in this sort of thing, where he becomes almost like a Megazord from Power Rangers or some crap. It's really insane. It's fucking insane, is what I'm trying to say. But they do save the day, and then they fly off majestically. The Fantastic Four one, I have to say, is easily by far like one of my favorites. They set up there who the Fantastic Four are, instead of being people with unimaginable powers. It seems like that they kind of go through like a different kind of testing thing, and they're all different characters in this. Like Johnny Storm is actually a woman instead of a person and whatnot, and they really kind of set up who everybody is in the Mangaverse of the Fantastic Four. And it's easily one of my definite favorites because it really is a good story in my opinion and all of this. So, it's just what the Fantastic Four has them battle, like their version of Doctor Doom and everything. It's a really good setup. And then you have something that's like Ghost Riders, which is basically taking Soul Eater and Yu Yu Hakusho and trying to combine it together to make something just plain stupid. Like, if this was supposed to be like a combination between Dr. Slump and Soul Eater, you've done a very terrible job. So yeah, this would basically be three characters in this. So you have Ghost Rider, Damien Hellstrom, and Marvel's Werewolf at Night or whatever, or Werewolf by Night. So basically, in this, you have Damien Hellstrom who meets up with Johnny Storm, who is the Ghost Rider, and you have them just take on different like Onis and whatnot, or demons or whatever, ghosts and whatnot. And then for some freaking weird reason, they bring in Damon's. They bring in Damon's actual sister, who is called Satana. But look at her, for God's sakes. Um, so he decided to call his group the Sons of Satan, which I think is an actual Marvel group that he's a part of, or whatever. But in this, he gives Johnny Storm his powers and whatnot, and the Werewolf by Night thing for Marvel never showed up in this. But basically they played out sort of like a parody type of deal thing where they try to play with horror comedy, sort of like Hellboy, for example, and it just pays off like really, really, really badly. And for some reason, Hulk is in this. Yeah, I'm not kidding. At the end of it, just like Hulk shows up, so for no damn reason, Hulk is just here and everything. And then you have the Punisher. As a dude who really enjoys the goddamn Punisher, who really loves the Punisher development, I love the movies that Marvel did. The first Punisher was one of the first movies I ever owned that was R-rated when I was like 12 years old, I think it was. It was one of my favorite movies too, even still to this day. Explain this to me. No, really, explain this to me. Because they turned the Punisher into this female, basically God of War type of deal thing, where she goes around and punishes people, but in the most stupidity of ways. She had no motivation to be in the Punisher, by the way, either. She punishes people by tickling their feet with the feathers. Oh, the humanity! She even has a sidekick who is a who is basically a young woman who, serves no purpose in really and being in the story, and even the villainess of the story really had no purpose to be in there either. So her partner, who was supposed to be in this as well, I mean, they really serve no purpose. I mean, it doesn't feel like anything that the Punisher does. The Punisher is supposed to be an anti-hero who kills people for Christ's sake, and I know that this is kind of like trying to be kid-friendly or whatever, but this is really just the most stupid way of doing it. And they turn her partner into basically Kuwabara from Yu Yu Hakusho. Like, they have a fucking soul sword for some goddamn fucking reason. Like, oh, I have a soul sword now. Oh, that's cool. I'll just hack out all your lives or whatever. So the best story in it is definitely Spider-Man, and Spider-Man we can get through pretty quickly. Now, Spider-Man is essentially younger than he is in the actual comics. I think that he's like 10 or 12 years old in this. His Uncle Ben is murdered by Venom, of all weirdest things. Venom kills his Uncle Ben right in front of him and claims that he is too late to save his uncle, that he will become the next story member of basically the Spider Clan that Peter is trained under to be a ninja under, of course. So he remembers, his uncle and everything. Mary Jane is there who's trying to help him. Now, if you know the Mangaverse, Mary Jane has become like Spider-Girl or something, which is really, really cool. The Kingpin is in this, but serves kind of no purpose in it. He just kind of, it's sort of like the higher seeker of it all. He basically like Nobunaga of the whole entire thing. He just controls everything and just demands what everybody should do. So basically, Venom commits to him. So Peter continues his training and then decides to basically take on a uniform, sort of a cool looking uniform of all Spider-Man. I mean, it's one of my favorite uniforms that he ever wore and whatnot. So he becomes Spider-Man. He goes on to fight the guys, and he actually does a pretty damn good job of doing it. Um, and especially later on, I think I have no idea who this is, but they introduced another character. I think Iron Man or something. It's gonna basically what's gonna be the next character in this or whatever, or the Iron Spider. It will look like Iron Spider. And then you have what I consider one of the worst stories, which is basically the X-Men. Okay, now how would you do the X-Men in basically in Mangaverse, in my opinion? You'd set it up sort of like My Hero Academia. You'd have the people that have weird powers who are turned against, humanity. Humanity wants nothing to do with them, so they all kind of join together and instead become superheroes. But here, they are the worst looking X-Men in the world. And as a dude who really loves the X-Men, this was the worst way that you could really introduce the X-Men. Look at them. Look at these. How do you take these things fucking seriously? They are the worst looking things in the entire world, and I will not forgive them for what they did to Nightcrawler in this. I mean, they set up, a lot of cool mutants and whatnot, and then, for some fucking reason, start wishes on the X-Men. Okay, sure. And then, for some fucking reason, towards the end of it, the Phoenix shows up. Cool! Why? It's sort of like, why did the Phoenix show up? They never really explain it. But the final stories, actually in this, let me go back here to the table of contents. So, Eternity Twilight is not exactly a bad storyline, and this it just kind of sets up what the other things were doing before. So they introduce all the characters and get all the characters to really introduce to each other. But it's sort of like Marvel's Infinity War, but worse. They just kind of throw all the characters in, and they just say, we have to have everybody in this. Everybody get in here now. Everybody get in here. They just pull in characters left and right from the other series, and it's like, everybody unite together. Go, go, go. And it's just like, why are we doing this again? Oh, wait, because money. They just throw, again, everybody in here, just like everybody is in here. Doctor Strange is in here. Everybody just unites together under the same common purpose. Now, the final 6 stories, which is just called Marvel Mangaverse, are actually some of the best in this, and it sets up Captain Marvel and the universe, not Carol Danvers, Marvel, the second Captain Marvel, I think it was. So in this, they set up a young man who was basically who's supposed to be the protector of this world, and they introduce him rather quickly. They give him sort of the shenanigan type of deal thing, and he's told to be this great, superhero of the universe, and the Fantastic Four are told by Uwashu the Watcher that he is supposed to be like this great and mighty superhero who will basically save the world, so you need to stop him. So the entire thing of it is that the Fantastic Four are getting this young man and then turning him into this great and mighty superhero, of course. And I actually love this because at the end, at the bottom panel here, they introduced Jack Kirby and Stan Lee at the bottom of it, which I thought was very, very, insanely good. So the entirety of it is just basically the appearance of Captain Marvel. They do have the Inhumans in this, which the Inhumans actually look really badass, and they're like, look at them. Like, oh my god, I want to read about these Inhumans, man. They look really, really good and everything. So, I mean, I know it is just like a grown-up story, mostly for Captain Marvel, and introducing him into the entire storyline, but they actually do it so very damn well. But how does the Mangaverse compare to me? It's a huge, massive mistake put on Marvel. They only did this for one thing. Money! Of course, like anybody would. But compared to, like, Dan Lee like, imagine Stan Lee creating the DC Universe stories. This one failed pretty short. The only good ones that come out of this are only basically, in a total of two. The Marvel Mangaverse number 1 through 6 and Spider-Man are just basically the best stories in this. Everything, and also the Fantastic Four. Everything else, in my opinion, just falls flat. There's a better way to do the Marvel Mangaverse now. Get somebody on this and get better writers. Hell, get mangakas. This would be the better idea. Listen to this. Get actual mangakas, like, uh, say for example, get Kohei Horikoshi, get Tai Kubo, get Akira Toriyama, get Yoshiro Tagashi, get the creator of Sailor Moon, get the creator of Evangelion, get the person behind fucking Fullmetal Alchemist, get a lot of mangaka together and tell them, hey, I got an idea. Why don't you guys create your own versions of the manga universe, and then we'll put them together in a compendium like this, and then we can sell it for money. However many pages it is, you could probably profit off of it for $40-$30 tops. Instead, you make a mistake. Look, Marvel, there is ways to get people into manga, definitely, but this is not the best of ways. In my opinion, the Marvel Mangaverse to this day still sucks, and it will always suck, with only profiting off of Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four, and the storyline for Captain Marvel. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Lady Universe saying that I'll see you next time. And don't read the Marvel Mangaverse. It's not worth it.